With Aero India show about to begin in Bangalore in a day's time, it is pertinent to just have a discussion with Raksha Mantri Manohar Parrikar, and he has kindly agreed to give us his vision for the Indian defence industry and the roadmap for the future as far as defence acquisitions and also what he expects from Aero India. Raksha Mantri, the Aero India begins in Bangalore. What are your expectations from Aero India?
See, we have been pushing quite substantially in creating environment in aeronautical and avionics sector. This Aero India probably will be a stepping stone to increase the participation of Indian industry in the global supply chain in the aviation sectors.
Right.
We are also looking forward for indigenous LCA Tejas to take off in coming years. So there will be a lot of availability of indigenous supply chain to be developed. Plus many of the offsets also will be kicked in near future.
Right.
And I expect that this would give it a boost.
Yes, and many combat fighter jet manufacturers are back in India. They are hoping that it will be like a second MMRCA competition is coming up. What are India's plans for it?
MMRCA competition per se, but it is basically Make in India and strategic partnership, which is in the final phase of being finalized chapter.
Right.
I think we should very soon look for a strategic partner in under Make in India projects for the fighters.
Yeah, but there is this confusion, or at least not clarity, that should it be single engine, should it be double engine? That has not been decided.
No, I think both the requirements exist.
Okay.
The quantity is the finalization.
Right.
And as the strategic partner aspect is being resolved, this is also coming to a final decision, consolidating the exact requirement.
The requirement. But as far as strategic partnership is concerned, what is the timeline? Are you hoping to finalize it very soon, or what can we think?
I'll not like to give the timeline, but very soon, as early as possible. It's in the final stage only because of this in between some disruption due to the election campaign.
Right.
It probably got pushed up by a few weeks.
Okay. You have also spoken about Tejas just now. Tejas has you have actually pushed both Hindustan Aeronautics and the Air Force to sit together and get the LCA going into the Air Force. Operational clearances are taking place. This time it seems that the HA is also going to demonstrate it to other buyers, or they will allow them to fly in LCA for the first time. Buyers will fly. Are you hopeful, or are you pushing for exports of LCA also?
Of course, we can go for the exports of LCA. These are the initial stages where you demonstrate the capacities and capabilities of the LCA. But I think it's a good plane and worth exporting. But at this moment, we are ramping up the production. In fact, recently we have given approval for second line of production also. So the capacity in next 2-3 years will be 16 aircraft per year. Currently it is only 8 aircraft.
So you're doubling the capacity. So initially, in any case, the Air Force has taken, you've given orders as under Make in India. Similarly, HA is also going to make the light combat helicopters. So where is that program going?
I think in the defense acquisition, A1 has been already granted. So the process of RFP, everything will move now under IDDM category, both this LCA 83, LCA Make 1A and Tejas
Mark
1A and LCH.
Right.
Both have been approved under IDDM category.
In the DAC, the Defence Acquisition Council. But there is a lot of hope about private sector in India, the Indian defence industry in private sector also coming into defence and aerospace in a big way. And one of the flagship programs everybody was looking at was the AERO replacement contract. Has that got stuck somewhere, or is it? What is the issue?
I think it is at CNC stage. and regular monitoring is being done.
Right.
Since it was floated under earlier DPP,
Right.
there are obviously some lacunas, some gaps, some clarifications. I am pushing it. I hope it gets to the actual reality very soon.
And that will be a flagship, because that will be like a stepping stone as far as.
There are many other projects, but that is one important project.
And what are the other projects? I think the artillery gun is.
Artillery gun is there, then self-propelled
howitzers is there. Yes.
So there are many more projects. See, you have to understand defense acquisition is not a 2 months, 6 months. It's basically years.
That's it.
These are the old cases which have got stuck up because of technicalities and procedural lacunas.
Sure.
We have been successful in getting these lacuna resolved,
Right.
and one by one we are moving forward.
Right.
You have to also ensure that there is a phase induction. You cannot, even if I issue order today, it's not going to come tomorrow.
Sure.
It takes some time to actually materialize.
Correct. So in this category itself, even Arjun you have pushed for further refinement of Arjun.
There are discussions going on the weight criteria.
Right.
Trying to reduce some weights. But I think very soon that decision
will be taken. So, I mean, if you look at the figures that I think the ministry put out, that in 3 years, I think some 92,000 crores worth of orders, 73 major contracts were signed in just for the Indian defense industry, which I'm sure includes LCA, LCH, all that. And yet, there is, from what I speak to smaller companies in India, smaller defense private companies in India, there is a feeling that the pace of acquisition or pace of procedure is not picked up as you would have also expected and as they expect. Is there some disconnect?
No, these are basically, you have to understand that many of these acquisitions where the RFPs were floated long back.
Right.
And the RFP had inherent procedural problems, test trial problems, many problems which were not properly taken care at that time. No one was probably monitoring these issues. What we started is just coming to the surface now.
Right.
Finalization or in the process. So defense acquisition has to be understood as a whole. You can't change the ecosystem in 1 or 2 years.
Right.
What we did in the beginning of end of 2014 and beginning of 2015 probably will start yielding result in 2017.
Right.
So this time lag has to be understood. There are many times even feeling that how much you spend. What I spend today is mostly based on what has been committed earlier.
Correct.
Some of the commitments have been done during my tenure.
Yes.
What I commit today will have impact on the budget in 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Correct.
Because the supply starts, like for example, last year August, we closed the deal for Apache and Chinook.
Yes.
When does the actual supply start?
19.
It starts in 2019 beginning.
Yes.
So, though you have taken action, the result of the action itself will take 2-3 years.
Yes.
So these aspects sometimes are not understood.
Right.
Offsets we have signed, with for example Rafael,
Correct.
starts getting impacted after 4th year, and that too in a very small quantity.
Right.
It is 5th, 6th and 7th year,
Which
when the quantum will be very high.
Exactly.
So if I sign a contract in 2016, the offset impact will start in 2020. We have to understand
That's
it
right.
requires a setting up. For example, after Apache and Chinook deal, Boeing had a joint venture with Tata.
Correct.
They broke the ground, started constructing the factory,
In Hyderabad, yes.
and recently they were showing me the photographs of the factory. And I believe sometime in May, June they will be completing the factory.
Sure.
The production will start at the end of 17 or 18,
Correct.
in the beginning of the 18.
That's right.
So after setting up a factory also, the training, setting up, all takes time because these are very accurate and
Very high precision
matters.
Yes. That's true. But you actually gave a lot of hope to people, and therefore people in the smaller MSME sector are very hopeful because of the IDDM category. Now I have a couple of questions on IDDM. IDDM, one of course is that they feel that if in case, and which I need clarification from you, they are saying, companies are saying that there is no clarity if ITDM results in a single vendor. Will it be?
There is clarity. Even if there is a single vendor, it has to be proceeded. But any operational lacuna is that we will issue the standard
amendment or correction?
Not amendment. There is no need of amendment. There is a very clear provision that ITDM single vendor also will be proceeded.
Right.
In this DPM, single vendor has not been eliminated just because it is a single vendor.
Okay.
So resultant single vendor or a single vendor due to ITDM will be processed as if normal procedure. It's not considered as there is no competition.
Okay.
Because basic logic is to be inputters to ITDM.
Correct.
You can't have multiple vendors in ITDM.
In ITDM, exactly. There is another issue in this, that chapter 1 of the DPP and para 6 says the committee comprising of scientists from DRDO, representatives from service headquarters will be entrusted with the task of verification of vendors' claim that their product is indigenous. The issue there some of the companies have faced or expect to face is the no time-bound
I think
deadline.
If these issues come up, they should come to me properly through a channel.
Whatever their company is.
They can come directly also.
Right.
We can issue guidelines to ensure that it's a time-bound exercise.
Correct.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Maybe 3 or 4 months.
That's
should
right.
be adequate time for in consultation with industry, we can correct it.
Because
by issuing guidelines, you can't explain everything in the procedure.
Every clause cannot be in DPP is what you are saying basically. So that being taken care of, about the budget allocation. Again, people have this that it's gone down to 1.62% of the GDP.
Basically, I will not go by GDP and all that.
Right.
As I said that what you acquire today, tend to acquire today,
correct,
has financial implication after 3-4 years.
Sure.
There are various mechanisms of taking care of this. Number one, there is a discussion whether defense budget can be a fixed amount and non-lapsable.
Right.
This is one issue which is being discussed. Secondly, what is being ordered today, for example, LCA I ordered today,
correct,
I don't pay everything, I only pay upfront 15%.
Right.
The orders are issued.
correct,
So as orders come, 15% is released.
correct.
The money actually required will be after 2 years, 3
3
years.
years. Yeah.
So current year budget doesn't reflect your acquisition.
Sure.
Current year budget actually reflects what you had placed order 5 years back.
So committed
That
liability.
is what is called as committed liability. At this moment we are managing in the committed liability.
Right.
And if some requirement is there, we will take it up and get the adequate.
Which you will get. And in any case, you need to spend every paisa.
As of now, because there is no money,
Right.
no acquisition has halted. Maybe couple of weeks, but mostly it is because the procedure
Has taken time.
is
Has taken time.
is taken time.
Then there is another suggestion which comes up always, that should there be an outcome-oriented monitoring of the budget, so that every money paisa you spend is well spent, is something that suggestions have been made by former financial advisors or experts in this. Are you looking at that, or will you look at it?
I think DSC takes care of all this. We are doing an extensive exercise which was never done earlier, including projection of the requirement, budget growth. All these aspects are taken into consideration when AONs are granted.
Right.
No AON is granted if there is no future 15 years plan
Right.
and financial tentative arrangement. I can't project.
You can't, exactly. Yeah.
But I assume certain growth in the
That's right.
budget, and based on that growth, we project.
Sure.
If it crosses the required funds, then we will see how to.
So basically, what you have done, just for the viewers' understanding, you have aligned the
requirement
with
to
the
the
budget.
available finance,
Finance.
projected available finance.
So that is something that is a big change, because
That was
earlier,
never done.
never done.
They were just going on acquiring without understanding whether there would be available funds.
Right.
See, if some 89,000 is, someone said that though it is 89,000 or 86,000,
Correct.
86,000, sorry,
Yes.
87,000.
Yes.
There was one criticism or comment which I saw
Mm-hmm.
that the real acquisition is same last years.
Yes.
First of all, last year's has been slightly reduced because we could not totally utilize consume the full funds.
Right.
If required, they have promised that they will be given. But suppose we consume the last year's funds as it is and it remains at 69,900 or 70,000.
Right.
and the current one, if you remove, is also say near it.
Sure.
The one thing which is forgotten by many people, that number one, the cost of acquisition is coming down.
Correct.
Because of clarity, transparency. Number two, the most important aspect is we have, even for example, used money which was lying with the US government to pay the acquisition under foreign military sales.
Yes.
So about 5,000-6,000 crores every year from last year,
Right.
and the next last year about 4,000-5,000. Now next year 5,000-6,000 crores
Crores.
will go from the account which is held there, which was already paid in the earlier budget,
Yes.
but not lying unutilized. So
Right.
even if I spend 70,000 crores,
Right.
there is another 6,000 crores expenses I do,
Yes.
which is not spent from the budget of current year,
Correct.
but lying in the deposit somewhere else.
That's right.
So actually this 6,000 crores has to be added to the actual spending.
Exactly. And in any case, like you said,
Saving also has to be added.
saving, exactly.
If cost has come down,
Right.
then your money is saved.
Saved.
For example, in Rafale deal,
Right.
ultimately with the current international scenario,
Yes.
you would save anywhere up to 14 to 15,000 crores.
Crores.
This is a projected saving.
Correct.
Actual may differ.
Sure.
Because we change one very simple formula of inflation from 3.959% agreed by the earlier government
Right.
and signed in other contracts which were done with the previous
Sure.
government. We came down to a clause which said the actual inflation or 3.5% cap.
Cap.
That means number one, we from 3.9 we got it reduced to 3.5 as a cap.
Yes.
But in reality, the actual inflation in Europe today is around 1% or less.
Yes. Yes.
So we are going to gain a lot on that.
A lot of money has been saved there, yes. So in this case, since you've done so many of these small reforms which aggregate into big saving and big transparency and brings in much smoother efficiency or much smoother acquisition, are you looking at a separate procurement organization?
There is a proposal, a committee was set up. The committee has given its report last week. So what I intend to do is there are 5-6 things we have done. Some of the reforms have been carried out, some are pending.
Right.
So all 5-6 reforms, whether it is in terms of quality control, whether it is in terms of arms, combat capability improvement,
Right.
and redundancy
Sure.
taken care, whether in terms of acquisition, all these aspects, or whether in terms of ex-servicemen.
Sure.
All these aspects, all the committee reports for the first time are being implemented.
Right.
But I am not totally satisfied with speed of implementation.
Okay.
So from next month onwards, we will be taking up the review of each committee recommendation
Sure.
and finalize and close it. One, for example, the security committee, which was Field Compose Committee,
Right.
we have taken action and issued direction accordingly. There are some other committees where some actions have been initiated.
Sure.
The balance action will be initiated in next 2-3 months.
Okay.
So that all these reforms
Recommendations and
are
reforms.
taken to the logical
conclusion. So even that Shekhar committee report is also lying with you, which
No,
has
it's not like with me. It's being analyzed in the department.
Exactly.
We are setting up a structure to
Right.
monitor it every month or every quarterly.
Okay.
So that one by one. See, these reforms which are given takes time to implement.
Sure.
Even some reforms which if I implement them today, the actual effect will be seen after 8 years.
Right.
Because there is something what is called as in process.
Right.
We can't stop in process exercise.
Absolutely. So one final question in this, as far as the acquisitions, modernization, everything is concerned, you're really progressing well. But there is also this feeling that once you get all this right, maybe you'll have to step up your efforts to do other reforms in terms of combat readiness, in terms of integration, all that. So how you look? Is there a time roadmap that you're looking at?
Reforming human structure is not an easy task. You have to take into consideration a lot of aspects.
Right.
It's easy to say that you do this. Once you do it, the impact is irreversible.
Right.
So compact capability, all these aspects will have to be done with a proper consultation with the forces,
Sure.
and they should be on board for any changes.
Yeah.
Normally there is always a resistance to change. But I feel that slowly the mindset is definitely changing, and the commanders and the army, the Air Force and the Navy is realizing that the final task is ultimately your capability in terms of whether it is operations which are linked with terrorism or operations which are linked for the preparedness.
Sure.
I think we should ensure that we are all the time ready. Lean but fit army, lean but fit air force, lean but fit navy is the ultimate solution. But it takes time. These are, even the deterioration sometimes it sets in, doesn't set in over a period of 1 or 2 years.
Yes.
It is over a period of decades.
Right.
So what you have done, good or bad, over a decade, cannot be
undone in 2
or
years.
further improved
Right.
in 1 or 2 years. In structures like armed forces, it sometimes requires centuries. But I think a decade should be at least a time frame you should look at.
Should be good enough. I know that you are reading that book called Victory on the Potomac, the battle between.
Yeah, whether that book or any other books.
What the US
experience earlier, you will see that these reforms have not happened in
exactly.
1 or 2
overnight or
they are the efforts of 5-6 years.
Correct.
And sometimes try until you succeed.
That's
the
right.
mantra.
Is a mantra. And actually it has to be top down. You have to force it down the forces.
Some decisions have to be after this consultation and discussion taken by the higher authorities or political
leadership.
leadership.
Right. Right, Mr. Parrikar. Thank you very much. Thanks for this.